Hello good people and welcome back to Level Up Your Tactics. Now, whether or not you agree, Magnus is a complete apex super GM. Magnus is also a machine, and he's quite near unbeatable when it comes to drawn endgames, because as they say, he can squeeze water from stone, even when it's theoretically drawn. I will boldly state, however, that when it comes to tactics, the former world champion Garry Kasparov is a better tactician than Magnus. He just finds the combinations better. However, in every other aspect of the game, Magnus is the absolute king. And precisely because Magnus is such a technician, a positional monster, that when he switches from positional to tactics mode, the effect is even more profound. Let's have a look at this position. So Magnus plays as white here in the final round of Linares Super GM circuit in 2009. He plays knight to d7. He's trying to recover what he sacrificed. He's trying to do a fork and attack the other rook. f5 was played, and you could either recover the other rook or play c4. This is the usual Magnus fanfare of torturing his opponents into a completely immobile position while grabbing all the initiative. Here he has one pass pawn there and maybe potentially another. a5 was played, and he plays c5. He doesn't recover the other rook. He increases the potential of the position. This is why Magnus is so good. Restricts mobility of the opponent, and he increases the potential of the position. Suddenly, that one pawn may not be doing its job anymore. Bishop to g7, now locking in the possibility of a fork. And here Magnus grabs the other rook. This is a part I'd like to highlight. What would you do here? Which tactic would you employ? In this video, we're going to look at the ideas of majority pawn attack and the power of passed pawns, and how to gain tempo in such positions. Let's boost that ELO. Let's get it.
Round one, fight!
So this game took place in 2009 when Magnus was only 18 years old against Alexander Grischuk. He plays Magnus, plays as white. This is 2009, the final round of Linares, Spain. Oh, before I begin, before I forget, I stuttered there. If you do find this content tolerable and you kind of like it, and it's kind of helping you in your chess journey, other videos, of course, will come up of my chess journey. Please leave a like and sub. You have my gratitude. Let's get started. So Magnus starts with e4, c5 by the opponent, Sicilian defense, knight to f3, d6, d4, c takes, knight to f6, attacking e4. We have knight to c3 and now a6. We have arrived at a fairly violent variation known as a Najdorf. Bishop to e2, e6. Castle king, bishop to e7, and now we have a4. It's a committal move, but it restricts any push here on b5. This square does become weak, but sometimes pushing this position too, you want to clamp down on b6. Knight to c6, bishop to e3, castle king, f4. Magnus expands in the center, locking in the squares in g5 and e5. A natural maneuver. Queen to c7, that's a semi-open file. That's the 7th rank. All the lines I'm drawing. King to h1, a bit of a sidestep. Prophylaxis for any tempo-gaining checks. Rook to e8, bishop to f3. Bishop to f8, queen to d2. 2nd rank power. You can double up the rooks here, or maneuver there on queen to f2, strengthening the threat there on b6 with diagonal battery. Rook to b8, queen to f2. Now, maximum tension in the middle with the push. Takes, and now Magnus plays knight to b3, just occupying the squares there and the dark squares, basically. And the threat is potentially bishop to b6, maybe put a rook here to have such a nice control over this square. Knight to b4. Magnus first pushes the rook. Instead of immediately taking advantage of that square that he can control, he pushes the rook away first. And now plays bishop to b6. And in the positional sense, and kind of a lot of principles, when you have a nice current control of it, it is magnified when the enemy square is attacked twice, so that it's basically unchallenged. You can't put a rook there. Bishop to e6, knight to d5. Magnus takes the center there, takes and takes, and voila, you have a passed pawn. And so does your opponent. Which passed pawn is stronger, though? Think about it. You have control of d8, and currently this bishop is awkward. It's in front of your queen. The only open diagonal it has is that kind of line of sight. e4, d6. Knight to c5. Slowly improving the pieces. A little bit of urgency is asked for black because that pawn is 2 squares away from queening, and this is quite supported. That's pretty dangerous. Queen to f5, bishop 2, e2, takes, and here knight b to d5. It's very precarious to take this, and that would be a blunder, and I'll let you guys guess as to why that would be a very bad move. The answer in 3, 2, and 1, it involves clearing this path, because Magnus can sacrifice the rook, and that'd be a brilliant move. Simply because after push, you have so much control. In fact, you can delay. You can destroy the king side and just have this threat looming forever. So, knight 2, d5, a5. It's important to lock in the structure there just a little bit, you know? Takes and takes. And now you kind of lost that apex bishop, but you gained something. Well, you have control of c7. This is attacked, and you still have the passed pawn. Here Grischuk plays rook 2, b8, protecting that square. And I want you guys to have a look at the position here, because white has lost the dark squared bishop, but has massive control over these squares. Now, what tactic would allow you, the player, to have more clearance there on d7? And Magnus finds it handily, and I actually hinted it a while ago. The answer in 3, 2, and 1. Magnus exchanges the rook. It's down in exchange. G takes on f6, and now knight 2, d7, attacking this rook. And it's very temporary, because the idea is that that's a forking path. f5 was played. We arrive at that position that I showed you guys. Played c4. Now a5. And Magnus plays c5. He doesn't take here. See? He doesn't cash in. This position has more potential, like I mentioned. Bishop to g7. And when one door closes, Magnus cashes in the other knight. Rook takes on b8. And now we arrive at that position at the beginning of the video where black has a passer. White has 3 pawns knocking at basically the back rank. Magnus finds his tactic handily. And the first time you look at this position and this move, you're like, this is absurd. But it just makes sense. What move did Magnus play? What tactic did he display in this position? To clear the pawns, just to run away from the pawns. The answer in 3, 2, and 1. Magnus sacrifices the bishop on a6. Brilliant move. There's so many ways that this could go wrong, but you can now see that after takes, can't stop it. right? Protect the queening square. What's the follow-up? Well, you're like, just push any pawn. Incorrect. c7 first. After takes, check. Right? d7 first. Well, let's go back to bishop to a6. And what did Grischuk do? He played bishop to f6 first. And now what would you do next? What did Magnus do? He chomped on the pawn. Easy. After takes, c6. Right? Now you have to play this very carefully because you get to keep 2 pawns. And you can't just push haphazardly because, let's say, you push c7. Suddenly, black is winning. White is losing handily. After that, boom. See that? And a back rank mate, you're barbecued here. So, after this move, Magnus plays rook to c1. Secure this line now for queening. After takes, d7. You either have to go back and push there. c7. It's over. Brilliant. Not checkmate you in 5 moves, but tactics nonetheless. Quick recap, guys. Magnus sacrifices the rook. Threatens all sorts of threats. Improves the position of the knight. Instead of cashing in, locks the position. Look at that, V. After takes, plays the absurd bishop to a6. He takes, he pushes, he secures the pawn. You have to secure the pawn first. Maximize potential by minimizing errors. Boom. Actually, Grischuk resigned way before that. Hope you guys enjoyed that. That was super technical, but that tactic was just, it sweetens the deal. Hope I'll see you guys later. Double peace.